How to raise your tolerance. This is something that I get asked about a lot more than I think that I would get asked about it. I would assume that most people would want to know how to lower their tolerance, which I do have a few videos on the subject. I have a few videos about tolerance, but I haven't talked about raising your tolerance yet, which a lot of people with a high tolerance go, why would you want to raise your tolerance? You're just going to end up spending more money. But there's a whole group of people out there that want to raise their tolerance. Maybe they take one hit at the sesh and they're passed out on the couch, or every time they smoke before they go watch a movie, they never actually end up seeing the movie. There's multiple reasons somebody could have for wanting to raise their tolerance. I've heard a lot of people actually talk about it on my Twitch stream, which come raise your tolerance in my Twitch stream. We have a sesh every night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you there. But I wanted to give a detailed breakdown of how to actually raise your tolerance, because how do you get stronger? Well, you just lift more weights. You don't need a plan. You don't need a routine, anything like that. Just lift more weights. You'll be stronger. How do you raise your tolerance? Just smoke more. It's easy. Well, I'm going to break down how I would do it and how you can actually smoke more. Because it sounds easy, but there could be a calculated approach to this, and you could get to whatever your goal is much sooner than if you just willy-nilly try to smoke more. But let's break down that first point, because that is the secret to it. You're going to have to smoke more to raise your tolerance. You're not going to smoke less and raise your tolerance. That's obvious. But smoking more means a couple of things here. Well, the first one, it would mean increasing the frequency at which you smoke, smoking more often. If you only smoke a 1 or 2 hour sesh out of the day, maybe add in another sesh or increase that sesh to like 4 or 5 hours. Most of my sessions are 4 or 5 hours every night on Twitch. I'll see you there. But upping the frequency is one of the ways to get there. The more often you smoke, the less you'll feel it when you smoke. You don't take as much time off in between your smoke sessions, then you're going to have a higher tolerance going into your next session, because you haven't given yourself enough time to cleanse or come down from the previous sesh. Just because you're not high 2 hours later doesn't mean it's not still in your system. But in addition to the frequency, yeah, you want to go to the gym more, but you also want to lift bigger weights. You want to be able to do bigger hits. I think things like papers and joints and the stuff that gets kind of harsh after a while isn't the best way to do it. I would use glass pieces. I would try to increase the size of the hit that I'm taking, but you don't want to go crazy with it. You don't want to take hits so big you're just coughing a lung up and you can't recover from it to take another hit. If you can't take another hit, you're not going to be able to smoke more and raise your tolerance. So here's where the diet plan comes into it. Here's where your pre-workout kicks in. Water. You need to drink a lot of water. No. You need to drink a lot of water, like enough to be hydrated. Almost nobody drinks enough water to be hydrated. Most people are just criminally dehydrated. They're walking around in like some desert game with their water meter flashing red at all times, just barely getting by. Drink more water. Drink water during your sesh. Drink water before your sesh. If you drink a lot of water throughout the day, when you get to your sesh, you might not need to sip before you rip as much. Your body might be naturally producing enough saliva to help get you through those hits. But a lot of people are super dehydrated. One hit just dries out their whole airway, so that every hit after that just wrecks them and ruins them and makes it harder to do more. So the more hydrated you are, the easier it is to do the hits, the more hits you're going to be able to do, the easier it is to raise your tolerance. So I have some videos on how to take bigger rips, and I have a video on sipping before you rip, things like that. But you want to get better at smoking, essentially. You don't want to take some tiny little hit out of some small piece and then cough your lung up for 20 minutes and not be able to smoke. You want to be able to smash bowl after bowl after bowl and get to the next one. You don't want it to hurt. You want to take the biggest hit you've ever taken and go, all right, I could probably do that again. So if you're coughing your lungs up on every hit, your hit might be just a little too big. You might need to come down on the size of your hit 10-20%, and that smaller hit might make it easier to get to the next hit. Like, let's just give a generic example. If you have a 1 gram bowl and you try to do the whole thing in one hit, and it just wrecks your throat and you're just coughing up and you're not able to do another hit, you're not going to be able to smoke much more than that 1 gram, right? But if you can just easily crush like a 0.2 or a 1/4 gram bowl easily, after you finish your 4th one, you might not be in as bad a shape as if you ripped that whole 1 gram bowl. You did 4 1/4 grams, spaced them out a little bit, had some nice sips before you ripped. You might be able to do another 4 1/4 and get to 2 grams off of just doing 1/4 gram bowls, but you could never get there with the 2 grams because it was too harsh for you. Find the balance. Find what's the biggest hit you can take and maybe come down a little bit off of that. So that way you're not pushing your throat, pushing your lungs to the absolute limit. Because I've been there before where you just cough so much off of the biggest dab you've ever taken or the biggest hit you've ever taken. You cough so much. I've coughed for 20-30 minutes in a row before. I didn't want to smoke the rest of the day. You harsh your throat too much. You just don't want to smoke anymore. I've been there. And the last thing you want to think about for raising your tolerance is mixing up the variety, mixing up the different ways that you consume. If you mostly do flour, add in a little concentrate. You mostly do concentrate, add in a little bit of flour. They each have their own tolerance in a way. But if your goal is just to be able to smoke more and you don't have concentrates as a goal, then don't worry about them. But mixing up the variety, try to get a lot of different options, a lot of different flavors. Also, if you have like the choice between an ounce of one flavor or you can get 4 quarters to make up another ounce of 4 different flavors, go with the variety. Go with more options. You're going to expose yourself to more cannabinoids, more terpenes, more different types of exercise and weights, that kind of thing. If you're just smoking the same thing over and over and over again, you just get tired of it and it's going to not be as effective as it was before. Either way, those are the steps that I would take for raising my tolerance. Let me know if you have any tips or any tricks, anything that you would recommend for somebody trying to raise their tolerance. I know people go through the comments and they read what else you say. So if you have some insight, please give it. And come smoke with me on Twitch. I go live after 9 p.m. Eastern. Link your Amazon Prime to a Twitch and give me that Jeff Bezos gas money. And if you're looking for a trick to start taking those bigger hits, check out this video right here. It's why I think hot water hits are better. Check it out, my dudes. Have a lit day.